Now, process screening is another great platform to use to look at our and analyze. We have a lot of processes like we do with these 117 of the semiconductor. Now, I get a lot of output up here. And one thing I like to look at is stability. And if I click on this, JUMP's going to sort it. Our stability index is essentially the ratio of our overall sigma to our within sigma. Now, if these are really close together, that ratio is going to be close to 1. And essentially, that's what we're looking for. We want our stability index to be around 1. A little bit greater is okay. A little bit less is okay. And in fact, JUMP even does some air proofing and color coding for us and says, okay, if everything's in the green, you're really close to 1. So our stability index in terms of our ratios of our sigma levels look good, but I can sort. I can also look at things like the mean, the count, the subgroups. I can look at control chart alarms, but talking about process capability, we do have two different indices. PPK which is for long term, and CPK, which is with short term or that within. And I can sort that if I click on these. So I want to look at these PPK that are really, really low. And a negative PPK or CPK simply means that we're operating outside of our spec limits, similar to what we saw here with these two cases, where if our average, our mean here, and I can see that from the graph, if I'm operating outside of my spec limit, I'm going to get a negative CPK or PPK. Again, we want 1.5 or higher, and many of these processes are not great. So what I can do here, if I want to take a look at these processes a little bit more and analyze them, I can tell JUMP that I want to show some additional graphs. So I can show graphs where selected, so I can get some additional graphs down here at the bottom. I can look at the charts over time. But if I have these selected, I can also tell JUMP to launch for selected. I can launch their control chart builder. I could do process capability as well, but the reason I like the control chart builder is because remember, when we have spec limits, we're also going to get the process capability. So for all of these, I can see the reason why my PPKs are so low or negative is because I'm operating outside of the spec limits here. In this case, even if the variation is not that horrible, I need to maybe do a DOE or something like that to shift our process to the right. Now, going back to our process screening, there's another graph that I like to look at, and that is our process performance graph. And of course, we also have our goal plot, similar to what we saw in process capability as well. But let's look at the process performance graph. Our process performance graph, again, on the y-axis is we're going to look at PPK, and we want to know, how we're doing, kind of that voice of the customer over voice of the process. And then our stability index here is going to have to deal with just looking at our variation. This graph helps us do like a health assessment of our processes. Here, we're in the green, so we want our processes to really be here in the green, and that means that we're both capable and stable with our variation. So that means we're hitting our process target. So if I click on any of these in the green here, we have a fairly stable process, and we can of course launch our control charts for these, and we can see, wow, that PPK of 4.3. We have lots of room. Maybe we've driven our Harley Davidson into the garage. We're no longer driving a big old SUV because we have a lot of room for error, as we like to say. And we're operating really close to target as well. So those that are in this green area, they're both stable and capable. Now, as we start moving down into the orange area, these are processes that are incapable but stable. These are some where we're starting to maybe get into some dangerous territory here. If we launch the control charts for some of those, we can see that here our variation is starting to get wider for some of those and not really operating close to target as well. So we know we have some opportunity to improve there. So process screening is going to help us look at a lot of different process steps together. And either the goal plot or this process performance graph. Now, thankfully, we don't have, I like to call this red area, I like to call this double trouble. That means that we're not capable and we're also not stable if that stability starts getting too large, but we don't have any that are in the red or the yellow area, which is capable but unstable.